Hello, guys. I'm back after a long time. This is a very latest video I am posting. And in this session today, which is a very quick one, we will talk about configuration consistency check in S4 HANA Central Finance. We will understand what it is, how to run, when to run, and what exactly does it do. So let's understand what is configuration consistency check. Consistency check report is basically a report, a standard report in SAP, which helps you identifying the configuration problems or the consistencies, including some of the master data, which compares your source system and the target system. And this is important because if you do a good job here, your initial load errors will be less, very less. So it's important that we give that value to this report, spend some time on this report to ensure we follow the right path. It issues success message as well as failure messages. So we only focus on the failures because we have to work on the failures, not on our success is already achieved. But let's see how to run it, where to run it, what to do, and when to run. It is important that we understand these small aspects. System, of course, it's S4 HANA Central Finance System. Transaction is standard transaction. When you are on 1809 release, you will get this transaction by default. Current latest release is 1909. Few customers are there, but most of the customers are on 1809. Transaction is fins underscore cfin underscore cc, and timing of this particular report running is before the initial load. When you plan your initial load and when you complete all your mappings and master data loads, it is a middle activity where you before the load you ensure that everything is fine, system is reading all those things in mappings and configuration, then you run. It's not a one-time activity. So people assume that, okay, we run the consistency check report, we have the output, now let's go ahead. No, that's a wrong assumption. You have to run it multiple times. You run the report, get the errors, fix them, again rerun. And then you might see reduced error, you might see change error, or you might see no errors. But you run it multiple times, as much time as you want to ensure there are no errors. You fix all the errors and run it report again. And at the end, you will should get a clean slate on the screen saying no error in the report. It is by company code. You have option of running it multiple company codes at the same time, but not recommended because of the performance issues, as well as sometimes it goes into the memory dump. Now let's understand what are the options available on the screen. What are the input we need to provide in order to be more efficient and effective. First is choose action. On the left hand side of the screenshot, execute. Yes, you have to execute the report. Technical settings in the source logical system, you have to put what logical source system is in scope. You can have multiple, but here you can run only for particular system. Which particular system it is, used from the drop down, it should come automatically. You select source company code at the if you see the option selection criteria, you select the right company code, recommended to one, and then click on other controls that show errors and warnings only. You have option of even display everything even if it is success, but that does not. Reason is you will have millions of records, it will take few hours, and then of course if something is successful you don't need to do it any action on this. So it's better you select show errors and warning because those are the items on which you need to take action. Now let's talk about an important point, which is options for consistency check group. When you click on check group, you get all the options which you see on the screenshot. Select group. So system checks compares the source system and the CFIN system by company code. This is evident. Now under company code what? Let's understand. The first is currency. It checks whether the GL account currency on the source side and the CFIN side is same. For example, you have a travel expense account on source as 1000 and travel expense GL account on CFIN as 2000 mapped together in fins underscore map manage transaction. And then you have on the source, you have the currency is euro, but on the CFIN it is US dollar. Then system says, hey, something is wrong. You have to change either on the CFIN side or on the source side, depending on the design. You may be going through a redesigning of the processes, so you might change the currency. So then it has to be consistent at the end of the day. And also it checks at the company code level whether the company code currency on the source side and the CFIN side is same. If company code US01 is mapped to US01 on source and US01 on CFIN says company is based in US, but we use the currency euro, and another side it says US dollar, then it's a problem. Then the next part is document splitting. This particular item checks the document splitting activation between the source system and the CFIN system, source ECC and the central finance system. Next is the GL account. It is specifically mentioned for open item management because in the source and the CFIN, if the GL accounts are mapped together, those should be similar in terms of open item management. If source is open item managed, GL account is created and it is mapped to a CFIN GL account, it should be open item managed also. Otherwise, it gives map error. Multi-mapping. This is a very unique scenario in which standard SAP does not support, till date, does not support multiple company codes of source system mapped to one company code in CFIN system. For example, 1000 company code and 2000 company code of ECC mapped to 5000 company code of central finance. Then it gives error because N to 1 mapping of company code is fully not supported actually at this point, and it verifies that you are not doing that mistake. Then we go to, I will prefer to go to the CO part first before I jump to other central payments and tax configurations. In CO configuration, we have account category. It checks the consistency of account type, balance sheet, P&L, and primary cost element. If your primary cost element in source is mapped to secondary cost element in CFIN or other way around, or a balance sheet GL mapped to a primary cost element or other way around, it will give you error. Cost object controlling data, it checks the statistical order indicator between the source, between the systems for the cost object. For example, an internal order. You create an internal order in source and you are saying a statistical order, but in CFIN it is a real order. So then it gives you a problem because your order data has to be consistent. It cannot be one statistical map to the real object. Unless you have put in some customization, some bodies, and some custom code to sort this out because your design is like that. Then we have profit center assignment. Profit center assignment is check the profit center assignment to the cost center between the systems. Cost center in both the systems are assigned to the profit center as well as the mapping is. So that's a part of CO configuration. Now let's talk about the tax configuration. It checks in value added tax. It checks a lot of things like company code, VAT, registration number, tax jurisdiction code, country ISO code, tax type, target tax code. A lot of things within tax is here. And also within withholding tax, it tests your rounding rule, accumulation type, withholding tax type, posting time, exchange rate type. So all those, and there are more. I'm just listing out few. So it particularly checks in those areas and it checks the mapping between source and the CFIN system. Coming to your central payment, there are a couple of options, SEPA and loan management. So loan management, it checks whether central payment does not support loan management in a standard way. So this particular checks ensure that you don't have loan management active in the source system, and the component for loan management is FS-CML. This component should not be active in source system, and if it is active, and by default, if you activate central payment, system will give you a bit. So please ensure you test this component in CFIN in source before you activate your central payments. And the last one is the SEPA. It is a single euro payment area within European region, which checks the consistency of SEPA activation between the source system and whether for particular company code is SEPA active on both the sides. As I said, one company code in US, then the SEPA is not active. Another company code mapped to Europe where SEPA is active. So then it will give you a time. So it also checks the SEPA assignment at company code level. So once you are done with all this, of course, you can save it as a variant. You have option on the top, then you execute this program. You have two options. You can execute it in background, you can execute it in front end, up to you. Recommended to do in background, but yes, if you feel the short data and your system is good in terms of performance, you can run it on front end. Run it, you will see the errors like this. You will see by each category of, you will see errors. Like here it says value type, value this of cost element is not. For each category you will get errors. Currency, you will have on the left hand side you will have count of errors, on the right hand side you will have all the errors in detail. You can simply download it. It is downloadable to Excel. And if you see that on the top there are total 1370 errors. You download all the errors, you fix it, again do the same process, you run the report again, test it. Your errors might reduce, error might change, but at the end you have to ensure that all the errors are gone. And when finally when you get this report clean, zero error, then you are ready for initial load technically. Of course you are ready before this also, but then all these errors will kill you in initial load, which is a more hectic exercise. And I will share another video on initial load which you refer to, and then I'll explain what consequences can happen if you don't do this good job here. So that's about high level consistency check report. I will talk more about this when I share the video for initial load, because this is the prerequisite for initial load. Very important to put it in the sequence to ensure you have a buffer in your planning to run this report multiple times. That's all for now. Thank you so much, and you can subscribe to the channel to listen more videos specifically on Central Finance. I'll be posting new videos very soon. Thank you.